Welcome to the Mirror Moves, where justice doesn't just knock on your door, it kicks it open. Because sometimes the greatest battles happen right in your own backyard. People often say motherhood is the hardest job in the world. Sleepless nights, endless diapers, and a heart so open it feels vulnerable to every hurt the world might offer. But no one warned me about the other dangers. Neighbors like Ellen Harper. I lived in Meadowview Estates, a neighborhood that looked picture perfect from afar. Well-trimmed lawns, coordinated mailboxes, pristine playgrounds, all carefully governed by an ambitious homeowners association led by Ellen herself. To Ellen, appearances meant everything. She controlled paint colors, garden plants, even who parked where and when. I kept my head down and did my best not to ruffle any feathers. But to Ellen, my family had always been an issue, specifically my adopted daughter, Mia. My husband, Mark, and I adopted Mia as an infant. After years of struggling to conceive, the moment Mia came into our lives was nothing short of a miracle. Her tiny hands and eyes full of wonder became our entire world. We loved her fiercely and completely. But to Ellen, our mixed-race family didn't match her cookie-cutter idea of suburban perfection. From the moment we brought Mia home, I felt Ellen's icy glares. Whispers floated our way during HOA meetings. I ignored them, thinking kindness would eventually melt her prejudice. I was wrong. One sunny afternoon, I was in the garden pruning roses, Mia safely playing on a blanket nearby. I stepped into the kitchen briefly to get some water when suddenly a wave of unease washed over me. When I returned seconds later, the garden was empty. Mia was gone. Panic surged through me. I searched frantically, calling Mia's name, my voice becoming hoarse. Neighbors emerged, confused and worried, except for Ellen, who stood on her porch, arms crossed, suspiciously calm. "Ellen, have you seen Mia?" I cried, desperation cracking my voice. She tilted her head, a thin smile forming. "Your child? Are you sure you have the right to say that?" My blood ran cold. "What have you done, Ellen?" She shrugged. "Just protecting this community from people who don't belong." My heart nearly stopped. "Give her back." But Ellen only smirked and vanished inside. Minutes later, police cars lined our street. Officers began questioning neighbors, while my hands trembled, clutching Mia's favorite blanket. Ellen confidently stepped outside again, approaching officers with a calm, practiced voice. "Officer, I simply did my civic duty. This woman has no proof she's the baby's mother. Clearly, this could be a kidnapping." I took the child into protective custody. I stared at her, stunned, helpless anger building inside me. "How dare you? Mia is legally ours. We've got all the paperwork." She smiled condescendingly, whispering just loud enough for me to hear, "We'll see about that." The police looked uncomfortable, uncertain whom to believe. Ellen had painted herself as a vigilant, concerned neighbor. For a moment, it felt like my world might shatter. But I remembered, motherhood had given me strength I never knew existed. I wasn't backing down, not today, not ever. We showed officers adoption certificates, birth records, and photographs. Still, Ellen refused to reveal Mia's location, claiming she'd acted in good faith. Eventually, the police decided to investigate further. They searched Ellen's home. Nothing. She had hidden Mia somewhere else. My heart ached, and my husband clutched my hand tightly, fighting tears. "We'll find her," he whispered. Neighbors gathered quietly, unsettled by the scene unfolding. One older woman named Margaret approached, eyes filled with sympathy. I think I saw Ellen's car near the community center earlier. We told the officers immediately. Hope flared within me, and we raced over. The community center, typically buzzing with activities, now sat eerily silent. Officers searched room after room, until finally, from a lock supply closet, we heard a soft cry. Mia? I nearly fainted in relief when officers emerged holding my daughter safely. Mia reached out, crying and shaking. My arms felt complete again as I held her tightly, never wanting to let go. She's safe, Mark whispered, tears streaming. But my relief quickly turned to fury. Ellen had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The investigation moved rapidly. Security cameras revealed Ellen's movements clearly. She was arrested and charged with kidnapping. At trial, she seemed utterly unrepentant, insisting she acted for the community's best interests. Her arrogance made the jury's decision easy. Guilty. Those words echoed through the courtroom, a powerful declaration of justice. As Ellen was led away in handcuffs, she looked at me bitterly. You ruined this neighborhood. I stood tall, Mia in my arms, Mark beside me. No, Ellen. Hatred like yours did that. The room erupted in applause, neighbors showing their support loudly for the first time. Something had shifted that day, not just for us, but for the entire community. In the weeks that followed, Meadowview Estates began to heal. Neighbors who had stayed silent before now visited, apologizing sincerely for not stepping up sooner. Margaret became Mia's honorary grandmother, often bringing cookies and warmth to our home. The HOA was overhauled. New rules were established, rules that emphasized acceptance, kindness, and true community spirit. People began to realize diversity was a strength, not a threat. Ellen's house remained dark, a quiet reminder of the price of prejudice. One afternoon, Margaret stopped by with fresh banana bread. Your family changed us, she said softly. You showed us how to stand up for what's right. I hugged her warmly, grateful for her words. Thank you, Margaret. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Life slowly returned to normal, but a new, better normal. Mia thrived, loved fiercely by an entire neighborhood determined never to let prejudice take root again. Months later, during a community picnic, the mood was light. Laughter filled the air, children played freely, and friendships blossomed. I watched Mia giggle as Margaret handed her a cookie, my heart filled with gratitude and peace. Yet, I couldn't help but notice a familiar, unwelcome face across the street. Ellen had returned briefly, now free on strict probation. She watched silently from a distance, eyes filled with regret and isolation. Slowly, unexpectedly, I walked toward her. Mark caught my eye, worried, but he understood I needed closure. She stiffened as I approached. I suppose you're here to gloat, she muttered bitterly. I shook my head gently. No, Ellen, I'm here to forgive. She stared at me, stunned. Why would you forgive me after everything? Because hatred only breaks you, I said softly. And my daughter deserves a mother whose heart isn't broken by bitterness. Ellen looked away, visibly shaken. I was wrong, she whispered. I destroyed everything. I nodded slowly. You did, but maybe there's still time to rebuild something better. She glanced briefly at the joyful picnic, at Mia's bright smile, then nodded weakly, tears slipping down her face. Maybe one day, I'll learn for people like you. Maybe, I replied gently. But for now, the healing starts with you. As I turned away, Margaret and Mark stood waiting, smiles filled with pride. Mia ran toward me, arms open wide. I lifted her into my arms, her laughter healing the last lingering wounds. That day, Meadowview Estates didn't just hold a picnic. It began a deeper, more profound journey toward true community, understanding, and compassion. Because sometimes the greatest battles aren't about winning or losing. They're about learning, growing, and choosing empathy over fear. In the end, love and justice had spoken clearly, and the echoes of hatred finally fell silent.